Hello? Hi. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday night. I hope everyone's weekend is going well. Hi, Skill Issue. Hi, Penboo. How are we doing? I hope everyone's having a good time. I personally am having I feel like I'm having a good time right now, but earlier today I was not having a good time. Earlier today, I'm doing some grad school right now, in addition to my work, and just this week was the first week of instruction, and holy cow, did this class just hit the ground running. I'm taking a class on linear dynamic systems, and poof! First freaking video, because I'm doing it online, of course. First freaking video, he just immediately launches into like crazy linear algebra that I haven't seen in like 6 years, and my brain was fried. My brain was fried. And that was Monday. Your girl, of course, did the classic college student thing, even though she's not a college student anymore, and she waited until the last minute to really start working on stuff, because the homework is due Monday. The homework is due Monday, but I leave for work travel tomorrow. I leave for work travel tomorrow, so I realized I had to do my homework today. And man, did it fry my brain. Man, did it fry. I could feel my brain overclocking, just trying to comprehend the math that he's going through. He's talking about crazy matrix math and vectors, and of course there's like the normal quote unquote normal like eigenvectors and eigenvalues, which already sound menacing, but like if you know it, it's like, okay, I sort of get how that works. But then he was doing like crazy stuff on theorems and transform matrices and ways to convert from coordinate systems, and this is literally the first 2 video lessons of the class. The first two videos, and I'm already frying my brain. He's like, oh yeah, I mean, so obviously, when you do this transform, it's just, it's this trivial process. You do, I think it's called Schur's theorem or something. Like, it's like turning matrices into diagonal matrices through transforms, or turning them into upper triangle matrices. My brain couldn't handle it. And there's some other crazy processes that like you like turn 2 by 2 matrices into 3 by 3 matrices. You just like sort of inflate them so that they can be multiplied with other 3 by 3 matrices. I don't know how I ever handled all this math. But I also remember that I could, right? Because a lot of the stuff that he's saying was like, oh yeah, I sort of remember it. I sort of remember this. I remember this concept a little. Oh yeah, identity matrix? Inverses? Yeah. I sort of remember this stuff. I haven't used it since college at all, but like when he was talking about it, it was like, oh yeah, a little bit of a refresher, I get it. But there's other stuff that is just like, huh? What do you mean there's a brain in there to fry? Skill Issue? I swear, I'm going to find your mom, and I'm going to have her ground you forever. I'm gonna have her ground you forever. I'm gonna tell her to invert your balls, and lick your feet, and warm both sides of your pillow. To always pour the milk first before pouring the cereal for you. What do you mean when I don't take notes? Skill Issue, I want you to understand, I never took notes, and I don't regret that at all. Because even this professor posts his notes. It is way better to spend the energy paying attention and trying to process and, get those calculations running in your brain than to spend that precious bandwidth on writing things down. So yeah, just sit there and do your best to fight your ADHD brain, because that's also the other problem is like, I'm at a point where I've got freaking, Zoomlennial brain, and I can't just sit there and watch someone talk. I'll end up pulling up my phone, or I'll have a side tab. And so because of that, of course, he says something and you like tune in for it and you're like, wait, what did he say? I need to rewatch. So then you end up rewatching the same like 2-minute segment over and over and over again, because you need to like process it over and over again. Skill issue. I don't need to screen record it. It's a video. It's literally just I can rewind it as needed. But it's like a hour-and-a-half video that probably, even though I play it on 1.25 times speed, I take 2 hours to go through, because I need to like rewatch stuff and pause and like follow along in MATLAB. Possible ban evader. Sudi internship. Good bot. Good Sari bot. Good for banning the frickin' body whatevers. But yeah. So that was how like the start of my day went. The start of my day was like, oh shit, I should look at these like 3 hours of lectures, and I should open the homework, and I should see if MATLAB even works on my computer. Thank God it does. I thought I would have to drive to my work and use my work computer. Like, that was my plan last night, and then I like looked on my computer and I was like, wait a second. I apparently have MATLAB on my computer. I have remote access MATLAB from my student VPN for the college I'm getting classes from, allows me to use MATLAB on my personal computer. I don't know how it works, because it's not like fully remoting into a computer and using MATLAB fully remote. It's like MATLAB on my computer, and I guess I just like borrow a license through the VPN from the school. So that's cool. But yeah, and the worst part was like he's like, oh yeah, feel free to automate this with MATLAB, and your girl of course couldn't quite process like all the stuff that he was talking about, and when he was lecturing, didn't have MATLAB involved at all. Like, not at all. It just, the homework said, oh yeah, feel free to automate it with MATLAB, and so your girl didn't understand how he was doing a lot of stuff he was doing using MATLAB, so she did it by hand. Pain and suffering. Life is pain, Deo. But yeah, homework fried my brain. It's only week 1, and it's actually graded homework too. I don't know if that's good or bad. Graded homework is like, I feel like for most people it's good, because it's like people consider, and skill issue, I don't know how you feel about it because you're not in university yet, but in university I think a lot of people consider graded homework good because it's supposed to be like free points as opposed to the tests, which like if you take a STEM major, the test will absolutely ream you. but your girl's kind of lazy, so she's not about that homework life. And she tests well. So she's also like kind of biased towards a little bit more weight on the tests, grade-wise. But yeah, I don't know. The school I go to uses the quarter system, which means our midterms are in a month. It is week 1. I've only watched 2-3 hours of lectures, and I feel like midterms are already around the corner. Like, they are in the very start of November. And I'm about to get cooked by them, apparently, because I'm struggling to even keep up with First week material, easy peasy, basics for everything. I'm sure everything we do in the future weeks will build on this, and I will suffer. You prefer higher weighting on the test because your time management skills? I mean, I think I'm pretty similar, but that only really works if you can, like, if you feel like you can handle the test, right? I know some of my frickin' upper divs. Whoa, trimesters is like a really weird. Okay, so semesters mean that the normal school year is divided into 2. Okay? And that does not include summer classes. But oddly enough, when I say this quote-unquote quarter system means the normal year is divided into 3, but there's a 4th quarter for summer classes, which is why it's called the quarter system. I haven't heard trimesters used to describe school scheduling in, like, I think my elementary school might have described them as trimesters, but everyone else described them as quarters. But I'm with you, Penbu, in that it doesn't make sense that we call one semesters but the other quarters, because, you know, quarters, the full year is only 3 sections of the normal school year, whereas semesters is 2. So I honestly think quarters does make more sense, in that there's like a summer quarter, but you're not gonna call the trimester system, the semester system trimesters because of the summer classes. I don't think. Sorry, I'm drinking water. It's been toasty where Belle is. Gotta hydrate up. So my game plan was earlier this week. Someone on the engineering students subreddit posted an Ask Me Anything that was like, I am an engineer. I finished school. Ask me anything. And it got like a pretty good amount of replies. So my plan was like, oh yeah, that seems like good content. And he also said, oh yeah, I'll do another one Saturday because I'm traveling Saturday. Saturday being today, this past like 24 hours. He did not do another one, but my plan was to wait for him to do the second one and then sort of respond to all the questions at the same time. Get shameless content steal. Respond to questions that were fielded to him. Shameless content steal. But he did not do another one today. He did not do another one. So there was no reason I needed to wait, I guess. Your school ran 3 terms of 4 months over the whole year? All 3 were equal because of the Weave co-op. Wait, so when you say 3 terms of 4 months over the whole year, wait, do you not have a summer break? Do you not have a big break? Is it literally just school the entire time? That sounds kind of awful. That's one of the things I miss most about school, is that, you know, when I went to school, we got these big ass, you know, summer break. That's like 2.5 months off. Winter break was like 2 or 3 weeks off. You know, you just get these nice big chunks of time to relax. Now as a working professional, I suffer every week of the year. For those in the non-co-op stream, they got summer off, but those in the co-op program, you had either co-op or school until you graduated. And that was still 4 full years? 4 full years of, I mean, I guess that's like prep for the real world, I guess, because like I said, professional life is 12 years, not 12 years, way more than 12 years. Frick, dread that I won't be able to retire probably for like 40 more years. But anyway, 12 months a year is professional life, so I guess, you know, if your school is like that, it's just prepping you for professional life. But I think it's bad because when you're young, you should have some freedom. You should get the chance to enjoy your youth. I stand by that. The time in the youth is for enjoying it. Your high school's doing it 11, 10, 9, 8? Well, that doesn't make sense at all. Why are they different lengths? Why are they different lengths? Skill issue? It just doesn't like what? Why are they planning? So if you I'm so confused. If you have like Physics 1 and Physics 2, is Physics 2 just expected to teach you less because they have less time than Physics 1? You know, if it's broken out over the course of the year? They're all tired towards the end of the year? That doesn't make sense though, skill issue. Doesn't make sense. I feel bad for whoever's supposed to cram full-length courses in for that last 8-week session. 8 weeks is a very fast-paced class. One of the justifications was you'd probably get a summer job anyway, so you may as well do something that's relevant to your career path. I guess. It's not about justifying it. It's... like I said, I just think that we should allow our youth to enjoy their youth before they have to deal with the existential dread of adulthood. Before they have to deal with perpetual suffering. None of the subjects have split yet, so we're just kind of doing if it works, I guess, skill issue. I don't really understand it. I don't really understand it, though. It exposed you to more jobs, Penbu? Yeah, I mean, that seems like it's a big good nowadays, is that, you know, I'm seeing a lot more popularity towards programs that, like, are directly linking students up with work. You know, and that's viewed pretty positively. I think that's a pretty, like, schools that I know were doing that got way more popular over the past few years, to my understanding, because of COVID. Because, like, COVID was making it so no one was hiring. So, basically, if you were going to one of those schools that, like, already had an in with the companies and they had, like, some co-op program where you were already working with a company, you got, like, way hooked up, right? Because if you had no connections during COVID, good luck. Good luck finding a job. I mean, I did it. I managed to do it, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy time to find a job during COVID, so I think people are seeing the value now in having these, like, sort of built-in connections and programs, as opposed to, like, at my school, even before COVID, everyone tried to find, like, internships over the summer, but working to find one yourself is definitely way more competitive than having, like, a school program, you know, where they work with companies. Sorry, I need more water. Your girl is dehydrated. Also, curse these tiny 8-ounce bottles. I was supposed to buy full-size 16 ones and I didn't read the case. Frick. More microplastics into my body. Frick. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. The school system is something. From what I hear, anyone who is going to, like, middle school or elementary school during COVID, probably even high school, anyone who was at that point in their development nowadays I think is toast. just purely development-wise, I've heard that a lot of people of those age groups are toast. So rest in peace. Your last co-op job hired after graduate? Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people, when they had like internships between junior and senior year, those internships generally like were direct lineups where like you'd finish your internship and they might offer you to return right then and there, even though you weren't supposed to graduate for another 9 months. But your girl almost flunked out of junior year, so she had to take summer school that summer. She had to take summer school that summer, so she didn't get an internship. The most crucial summer for an internship. She didn't get one. So, yeah. Yeah, we see how she turned out. She's fucking killing it now, though. Fucking killing it. Big shot licensed professional, making 6 figures, freaking killing it. Your social skills are shit because of lockdowns? And you focused on academics during lockdowns? Asian household. Hashtag Asian household. Your parents might teach you better than the teachers did. Okay, one sec. Boop, boop, boom. Let's see. Boom. Kerchow. Is this big enough for you guys to read? You almost failed 2 classes in your years, but you managed to graze by with a 50? Okay, I mean, I don't know how great, maybe it's different there, but for us, technically everything's curved, right? Really, it's like the professor just picks some spot where everyone below is like failed and everyone above passes. But normally, if it's not curved, our failure point is anything below 60. Yeah, get flashbang skill issue. Maybe you should freaking wear sunglasses. Maybe you should wear sunglasses when watching my frick. Does Reddit have a night mode? Do people use Reddit night mode? Okay. Engineer, ask me anything in the r/engineering students subreddit. And this guy did an undergrad in engineering management. Bleh. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be rude. It's engineering management, and like that's just, I did not know that they offered undergrad degrees for that, but good for them to now be an actual engineer. Masters in systems engineering. Aw, yeah. Plus points in my book. And working on a second master's in aerospace engineering. So, pretty pog. They've been in industry 9 years. So that's the OP of this post. All the questions are probably more targeted towards their experience level, but 50 was a passing grade for the courses, but later courses might have required higher grades as a... Interesting. Yeah, I mean, for us it was like, I don't think any of them were purely by numbers, besides the really easy ones. Most of them is just like the professors just like decided, I think. They quote unquote bell curve. They're like, yeah, I think about this. Anything above this is an A, anything above this is a B, and anything above this is a C. And in lower divs, you needed a C to pass, but when you got to upper divs, they realized it was hard as shit, so if you got a D, they'd send you on your way. Those professors really were giving out the D's. D's nuts. Alright. And, of course, there's the fib from this person talking about doing another Ask Me Anything this coming Saturday today and failing to follow through. But anyway. Thank you for the nuts skill issue. And I didn't read this. I didn't read this before, but I guess they love helping students in early career professionals, which makes sense, of course, since they're posting on that Ask Reddit. But they even authored a book. Wait, maybe they are like actual management material. I don't know. I'm a little suspicious on anyone who says manager, because managers aren't always very helpful. Okay. What was your first engineering job, and how did you get it? I have a bachelor's in industrial engineering with a 1-year contract job that just ended, and looking for a permanent position has been pretty tough. I really don't want another contract job. Okay. Also, I'm gonna close their replies while I reply first, and then we can look at their replies. Okay, my first engineering job was as an entry-level systems engineer, which is weird, by the way. Weird to be a systems engineer for your first job, because systems engineering is really something that I think with good reason is something that's generally comes from people from other fields, right? You should generally have some experience working as some like other type of grunt engineer, and then once you've done that work, you can sort of start to see how things fall into play, and then you can become a systems engineer where you start interfacing with other things. But my first job was as a systems engineer. That was the title, but I mainly did test engineering, which I think is really, really helpful as a first job, because I felt like out of college, I had mainly expected most engineering to be either design or analysis. And that there's just more to engineering than those things. There's just so much more to engineering than the things you learn in school. So just be prepared when you get out of school to understand that, you know, some of these jobs might not be at all what school prepared you for. And being a test engineer is super, super extra helpful, because when you're testing things that have already been, you know, completely designed and built, and these are things that people were like, oh yeah, it makes sense, this seems like a good solution, and then they send it to you to test, to verify and qualify and make sure it does all the things it's supposed to, and you see all of their mistakes. You see all of their mistakes. Because they're like, oh yeah, this seems like a good design, it seems like it would fit. It fit in CAD. We made it, and then you get it and you're like, this literally is circular and the slot is square, right? Or this is literally 6 feet, we only had room for 5. You see really silly stuff like that. You also see stuff where, like, it technically works, but it's really just super hard to deal with. Right? They're sending you like giant ass, like foot-long bolts for screwing together giant frames and scaffolding. And these are like big ass bolts, and they're fine thread. And I don't know if you guys are very familiar, but there's generally like what are considered fine thread and coarse thread. And there's basically, you should basically avoid using fine thread unless you have a very specific reason that you want to use fine thread. So when they send you these big ass rugged bolts that are basically, you're just gonna use like a big ass wrench or a power tool to just like smash away to fit it into where it's supposed to be, and you're just gonna like go ham on it, that's really not the place for fine thread bolts. And it's just stuff like that where if you haven't actually put your hands on it, you probably wouldn't even know that it was like a mistake, right? You wouldn't even know that there are these like struggles that you're putting people through if you're a design engineer, if you don't make these just like somewhat common sense decisions. And you only just get that experience from working on things hands-on. So it's really good to be at the end of the cycle. Hi, Ash. Hi, sorry, sorry to respond so late. I was answering the Ask Reddit question. But yeah, so first job, test engineering. How did I get it? I I graduated class of 2019, meaning that was like the emergence of COVID, because I graduated a little bit late. I was like fall 2019. So I started my job search, and like immediately after I started my job search, boom, COVID lockdown. No one wanted to hire. Huge pain in the ass. Basically what it was is I shot out my resume everywhere. Shot it out everywhere, include all the buzzwords. Some headhunters found me, and more or less I took the first applicable position offered to me. The Ask Bell question? Yeah. The Ask Bell anything, the ABA. No, these are Ask Me Anything questions that were directed at this guy, this 9-year industry experienced engineer. So yeah. But if you're looking for a job in your early career, I feel your pain. Just keep looking. Put all the buzzwords in your resume. Anyone that you can, like, I'm not telling you to lie, but literally the first line of defense for them is auto filters. Put all the buzzwords into your resume that you can to get past the auto filters. Let yourself get through the interview with your actual personality. Okay? The interview is where you'll really sell yourself. But first you just have to beat the automated filter bots. Easiest way to get hired is seduce the interviewer. You have to get an interviewer first, Ash. You have to get an interviewer first. You have to make it past the bots. Okay. What did the OP say? Project engineering for a small company. Applied to literally hundreds of... Yep. That's how things go. You just shotgun approaches, blast it out. Okay. Second question. I'm 30, going back to school for a second bachelor's in environmental engineering after getting a degree and working in TV and film production for 6 years. I want to know from an engineering perspective if environmental is actually a good choice. First of all, I think that's really about what you want to do. I think almost all the engineerings, you can find jobs, right? So if you're purely trying to make money and that's all you care about, then maybe not the best choice. But if that's what you like, you'll make it work. It'll be fine. Especially at your age and doing a second degree, I want to make sure you're picking something sustainable and that has longevity. Should you pursue civil? I just want to make sure that I'm not going to put time and money into a path that won't lead to better opportunity. I'm also in a lab where we are doing electrical and mechanical unit, and I'm having a lot of fun with doing hands-on technical projects, and questioning if I should look into one of those. Basically, I know I want to be an engineer because I enjoy problem solving and learning how things work, but don't know the right choice. Okay. After having read more of this, I have to ask, why did you choose environmental? Like, I feel like, I'm gonna be frank here, I feel like people only choose to do environmental engineering if that's what they wanted to do. I don't think anyone's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be an engineer. Which one? Environment. Like, it's kind of weird to me that you just like threw a dart at a board and it landed on environmental, I guess. If you're just shooting for something sustainable, something that will always have work, and you're not particularly enthused in one thing or another. I mean, it says here that you're having a lot of fun doing hands-on stuff. I would say if that's what you're into, and you just want something stable, mechanical is pretty always needed, but also electrical. Electrical is always needed, right? Those are both pretty hands-on. A big thing that, of course, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you this, but software engineers as like, I know people think of software engineers as like code monkeys. Thank you for the hydrate. Ash, let me glug some water. I know people think of software engineers as like code monkeys who like don't deal with hardware, but all the software people I know are relatively involved in the hardware too. Not necessarily that they're making the design decisions, but they're not ignoring the hardware. They still need to know how the hardware works. So if you did software, which I think is probably the most like directly growing, you know, right now hot stuff, software engineering, I'm sure you'd still have plenty of opportunities to do hands-on stuff, which sounds like you're enjoying. But really, you should just do what you enjoy. And I feel like if you picked environmental, you probably for some reason enjoyed it. If you're not enjoying it, then I'd maybe switch. But yeah, do what you want. All the engineering fields, you'll be able to find jobs, you know? It's just about, really, the level of sustainability for it will come from how much you want it. So pick something you're not gonna burn out of. OP's response was, what's the end goal? Does one get you where you want to go more than the other? Yeah, I agree. It doesn't really seem like there's enough context here for us to know what the question asker wanted. But, yeah. Next question. I am a new mechanical engineering grad and work in the aerospace defense industry. Is it true that to get to bigger jumps in pay, I should switch companies every few years? Since a majority of the defense companies work hand in hand with another, would this job hopping seem suspicious and reduce my overall chance at getting a higher pay? Okay. The truth is, in the modern job economy, in the modern market, yes, you need to jump jobs to get higher pay. Or at least you need to be getting offers from other jobs. Okay? If you just sit at one company and you never get an offer from another company and you never bring anything to your boss, they're not going to give you anywhere near comparable pay bumps from just raises. So even if you like your company, what you have to do is you have to go and you have to get outside offers and you have to say, hey, I got this outside offer. I want you to match it. Because if not, you're going to get screwed. You're going to get super screwed. I remember reading a post about this, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, about someone who felt like they were getting decently rewarded for their loyalty with the company. They had worked with the company for 15 years, and they felt like the company was looking out for them. And then they did the calculations of their raises against inflation. And over those 15 years, they raised 3%. They only had a 3% raise above inflation. And that whole, it's not like they realized, right? They felt like their company was taking care of them. Only when they crunched the numbers did they realize that they sort of screwed themselves by not going and just finding a higher paying job. So go get that other job offer. Honestly, I think it's better to usually take the job offer. Even if your own company counters, I think it's generally better to just job hop and get extra experiences too. But yeah, you definitely need to be actively working to get higher pay. You have to actively be making moves, not necessarily like job to job moves, but you have to actively be working to climb your pay. Go get those competing offers. Make your manager sweat. But yeah. What else we got? Have you dealt with the stress outside of work, and how does it impact your day-to-day? I'm 5 years in and have this, and I'm 5 years in, and this has been a major hurdle for me juggling personal life, family, and the stress of engineering responsibilities. English is hard. That's why I wasn't a humanities major. Okay, so I'm a weird one. I'm a weird one on this in that I do not really feel like I mind the stresses and things from work creeping over into my outside work life. But I also am not like laser focused in while I am at work. So it's a sort of trade-off in that my entire life sort of blends together in that during my work hours, there's definitely times where I'm like not in work mode. And when I'm outside of my work hours, there's definitely times where like the work thoughts are creeping in and I'm sort of in work mode thinking about it. I know a lot of people like being adult professionals because they get that compartmentalization where they're like, they go to work and they laser in, and then after their 8 hours for the day are done, they can just let it completely flop out of their mind and think about other things. And so they like professional life better than they liked life as a student. I preferred life as a student because I felt like I had a lot of freedom with my ADHD-ass brain to just sort of work when I wanted to work and play when I wanted to play and just do whenever, whatever, whenever. So it doesn't really bother me when things go outside of the work hours. But if it does bother you, I think it is really important to just sort of recognize that there need to be boundaries, right? So if you are someone who does those 8 hours and then you laser in and work those 8 hours, after those 8 hours, you just have to really force yourself to drop it all. Okay? You just have to drop it all and be like, okay, these are my outside of work hours. I will focus now purely on family, on rest, on enjoying myself, right? You just have to have that discipline to be like, okay, I don't need to worry about work. And I guess it's not necessarily discipline per se, but have that understanding that you have no obligation to think about work outside of work hours. So yeah, I mean, we're maybe different breeds, but if you want to set boundaries, if you like having compartmentalized lives, set your boundaries and just stick to them and don't feel bad about it. Okie dokie. I'm a second year applying to internships this year. What are the best ways to make myself stand out when looking for positions in aerospace? Oh my god. Okay, second year applying to internships in aerospace, which is relatively competitive. That's like I think a lot of people in engineering school are generally interested in the companies that do stuff like aerospace. You know, that one of my friends who works in space and satellite systems, he's like a little bit older than us, you know, he's well into his career, describes space as the like rock and roll of engineering. So it's the fun side of engineering, right? Work hard, play hard, you know, you do your work at work and then you go out for drinks and freaking party with your boss. You party with freaking Elon Musk. So I think aerospace and space are very competitive, and as a second year, I'm gonna be honest, it's very difficult for you to differentiate yourself from anyone else, especially because when you're only in your second year, you've probably mainly done just lower div classes, right? Everyone in your major has done the same classes. No one has even done anything that sort of specializes in anything at all. So if you want to make yourself stand out, what you really have to do is you really have to have projects, right? Like personal projects. Because whatever, you probably don't have work experience, right? And even if you do have work experience, it probably is not, you know, super phenomenal. But if you have personal projects, you need to talk the shit out of them. You should have pictures of your personal projects on your resume. If you're a second year student and you have personal projects, which will really set you apart. If you have a freaking picture of something you built, it will catch their eye. Okay? Because you're not going to catch their eye with, work history, because you probably have not done any like really interesting work history things, and your course load is also not going to catch their eye. So you need personal projects. But yeah, best of luck to you in the super competitive market of internships. Man, that's stressful. Trying to find internships is stressful. Sorry, drinking some water. OP from the Post recommended really selling on academics and extracurriculars. Extracurriculars, I think, are helpful if you have the right kinds, right? Especially if you're like in, I know at my college there was like a club that did like, they like built race derby cars. So stuff like that. But that, I mean, that's basically projects, right? So, yeah. Second year, looking for internships, it'll be difficult. Just try, do your best, and see what you can get. Hey, appreciate the help, as many don't like to give it. Mechanical engineer that's been severely struggling with my classes since statics, and wondering if you had any advice. I seem to be way slower than my classmates, so professors and peers don't like to help. I study at home and end up struggling. Any method or techniques I could use to get through academics by myself? I find working in the real world so much more enjoyable. Man, is that a struggle. Because honestly, I feel like self-studying is very, very difficult to succeed in a lot of ways. Because whenever you run into something that you don't understand in a way that's intuitive to you, it is going to be a absolute hellhole to sort it out, right? Unless you have that intuition. You really do need to just sort of bite the bullet and freaking go to every freaking office hours that your professors have, and you hammer them with email them, okay? You make it clear to them that you're struggling and you want to understand, right? That is a big thing, and I know a lot of professors do care, right? They do care, where if you're making the effort, they will make the effort to try and help you. Go to your professors, go to your TAs. The other thing I would say is, what is really helpful is YouTube videos. And everything that you're learning at this point in your college career, well, maybe it's been a while, but you said everything since statics. That's like, there's a big range. Statics is a pretty early level class. So you could be like a senior, or you could be a sophomore, or whatever. Everything that you're studying, it's on YouTube. Everything in undergrad, everything you're learning on undergrad, you can find. It's online. It's there. You have to look. Not that you're not looking, but go to YouTube, go to Google, find the Khan Academy videos. They're there. And it'll be hard. It will be a slog. But the videos are extra great because you can freaking rewatch parts over and over if you don't get them. Especially useful from the videos is that, unlike professors who like sometimes are super shitty in showing what they're talking about, the videos always have diagrams, and the diagrams are super helpful compared to just like hearing someone talk about what they're saying, right? Like, it is very hard for me personally to visualize things just hearing people talk about them, but having that diagram, having that, visual aid is super helpful to me. In terms of techniques, besides finding the resources, right, and battling for the resources, in terms of techniques, I think especially as a mechanical engineer, that's what my undergrad was in. Something that will be really helpful to you is trying to find analogies between different, sort of facets, right? So one that I'll talk about is like, water flow is the same as thermal flow, is the same as electric flow. They all have analogs. And as long as you get good at recognizing where one thing is analogous to another, it will drastically help you in your understanding of all of them, right? So I think the easiest for me to understand when I think about stuff like that is to think about water, right? So I think of electricity as water flowing through pipes, right? That's current, right? Voltage is water pressure, right? Same thing with heat transfer. Heat transfer is water flowing through pipes. You know, temperature is water pressure. You know, all these things, they are really just the same thing in different packages. So find analogies that work for you, and once you have good analogies, it will drastically make understanding everything else easier. Yeah, it really does suck if your classmates don't really want to work with you, because I feel like working with others is a very good way to learn, though. So not being able to have sort of classmate friends is a struggle bus. Really a struggle bus, especially for test prep. Okay, but good luck to you. Good luck to you. I hope you find what works best for you. Although you said you're from aerospace engineering, this person's talking to the OP, not me, because I'm not in aerospace engineering. Just a general question, if you have any ideas about that, do you think I'm cooked as a second-year mechatronics engineering student who is still learning to code and program? Okay, so for anyone who is maybe not familiar with mechatronics is sort of an interface between mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and some software. It's basically what you think of is, you should think of robots, right? Robots are mechanical and electrical, and there's some software. And that's more or less what mechatronics, you know, that's a really easy way to explain what mechatronics is. So as a mechatronics engineering student, you're gonna need to know like a little bit of all of those things. And to be a second year who is still learning to code, yeah, Penbu, mechatronics is a cool name. To be a second year mechatronics engineering student who is still learning to code and program, I'll say not a problem. Not a problem, because specifically because mechatronics is so, you know, interfaced between different disciplines, basically everyone there is sort of going to be still learning fundamentals of something, right? Because you're going to have people who are mechatronics majors who, you know, intuitively are good at mechanical stuff, and they're gonna be there in the trenches trying to learn the fundamentals of electrical stuff. Electrical people might be, you know, reverse ruse, or they might be also in the trenches with you trying to learn basic coding, right? Everyone's going to have something that, you know, is sort of fundamental, but is just not fundamental in their forte. So they're all learning fundamentals. And I do also want to say, even if you were in just mechanical engineering and you were just learning mechanical engineering fundamentals, that's totally fine. You're only a second year. First and second years, all fundamental stuff, right? Just you're working on building foundation. Third year even still, you know, some foundational stuff, right? So don't feel like you're bad or you're behind because you might not have some of the skills that some of your classmates have, because they're gonna have like weird shit that they've, you know, through one experience or another, have some experience that you don't have from working in some club in high school. It's fine. It's fine. You can catch up. You can figure it out. You got plenty of time. And even if you don't necessarily have it like completely mastered by the time you graduate, still fine. Still fine. I especially want to say that one of the biggest things I realized when I graduated was the idea of having mastery when you graduate is a fucking scam. Chat. It's a fucking scam. When you graduate, you will have the biggest imposter syndrome of your life, because you'll be like, I just got a degree for mechanical engineering or civil engineering or whatever. They just gave me a degree to go work on building bridges, and 2 weeks ago, I got a 50% on my final. 2 weeks ago, I fucked up all the questions on my final, right? And that's just how it is. It's hard, chat. It's hard. No one's just like a natural master and fucking knows everything. It's fine to not be on top of things, right? You just have to do your best, and you will learn what you need to if you try. But good luck. Good luck. I hope you enjoy learning coding, because I think learning to code and program is very interesting. And it's really cool to see how, like, on that front, it's just pure logic. So as you come to be better and better at logic, you'll see how these sort of puzzles fit together and what coders and programmers really do. Imposter syndrome hits everyone at least once. Yeah, exactly, Penbu. Like I said, when I graduated, I was like, we all just got degrees to work in the workforce now. That girl who spoke and gave the graduation speech a couple months ago, she got an 8 out of 100 on her midterm. She did not know her shit, and she fucking graduated. And fucking what's also crazy is you'll realize that as much as you learn a lot from being professional on the job, you'll also realize that it doesn't necessarily get better working professionally. Doesn't necessarily get better working professionally. You'll run into people who in the professional world are like senior engineers, and they're like misunderstanding fundamentals from basically the equivalent of statics. Right? I had an incident like that with my chief engineer the other week where he was trying to tell me that one of the equations for radars does not apply in space, and he's freaking wrong, but he doesn't understand it. But it's basic stuff. Okay. FM Style asks, I'm studying for computer engineering. Sorry. I'm studying computer engineering. Is there room for us in the plane making process? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, I think everyone sees planes and they're like, ooh, wings, engines, you know? Control system, you know, all this stuff is like fancy, like flight control surfaces, lots of moving parts, and they're like, oh, that must be like only mechanical, right? And no, not even close. There's so much stuff on a plane. Planes are very complex. Even less complex things like cars. Cars are less complex than planes, right? Cars don't freaking fly. Even cars are incredibly multifaceted nowadays, right? We talk about cars as nowadays, cars are a computer with 4 wheels and an engine. So, computer engineering especially, and software, and, you know, all that stuff is everywhere nowadays. And even if you weren't in computer engineering, even if you were in electrical or chemical, right? These things that you might not necessarily associate with these big systems like planes are there because they're big systems, and there's a lot to them. Right? There's a lot to a plane.
Cars can fly if you want them to.
Skill issue. I will say cars can fly, but they can usually only fly once. Just like everything is edible, just some things you can only eat once. But there are absolutely 100% fact known computers on planes, right? All the avionics, right? All that stuff needs computing power, right? We need FPGAs, we need traditional computers, we need all that sort of stuff on planes. That's what, like, runs most of the show nowadays. So, if you're worried that your individual discipline is not necessarily applicable to planes, you're probably wrong, because planes have freaking everything on them. The only thing that might not be on there would be like, maybe, I guess maybe civil engineers, maybe not, don't necessarily have a place on planes, but I'm sure they could still find work, right? There's enough Also, in terms of just interdisciplinary learning, that I think if you have any sort of engineering degree, you can sort of fight to work on whatever you want. Some things will be more of a struggle than others, though. But planes, computers, easy. Computers all over planes. Tons of that cockpit is just like computers in different shaped metal boxes doing different things. Okay. But good luck. You will for sure be able to get into the plane making process if that's what you want. Alright. What kind of dress code females need to follow at work? Oof. I'm from a civil engineering background. I'm sorry, I did not expect a dress code question. What a newbie engineer is expected to behave, perform, professional, and technical, and look at work. Okay. So, this is weird, mainly because every company is going to be different. And especially, I am telling you right now, as a female, there are definitely standards for us that are maybe not there. Okay? There's also equally amounts of times where, as females, we maybe get off easy, but you know, it's trade-offs. In terms of general dress code, I will say no matter where you work, if you wear a just pretty basic shirt and slacks, you're probably fine. You probably don't need anything crazy. Basic shirt and slack. And when I say basic shirt, I don't mean like t-shirt shirt. I mean, you know, a shirt. But it doesn't need to, you don't need to do like a button up or anything, right? You just, as long as it's not like graphic design tee, you're probably fine. What you can wear, you can also choose to wear a dress if you so desire, or skirts, or other things of the sort. Just, you know, be relatively reasonable. You can wear jeans too. Jeans are on the more casual side, but, you know, a good pair of jeans is still fine. What you probably do not want to wear is shorts. You probably don't want to wear shorts. You probably don't want to wear, like, flip-flops or anything like that, you know? You don't need to wear heels. You could wear flats or even, you could wear Converse, right? Stuff like that. Just nothing like, I'm sure you can judge relatively well. Nothing like crazy casual. And that being said, like I said, it just depends hugely on where you work, because some places have different work culture. But like I said, almost everywhere, if you wear a shirt and slacks, you're fine. You're fine. And also almost everywhere, I think if you swap the slacks for khakis or jeans, also fine. Just don't go too crazy with like shorts or anything like that. In terms of behavior and... Sorry, they're clarifying the second part of the question. What should a person who is just going to join the first job expected to behave socially and performance-wise at work? Okay. In terms of behavior, again, hugely depends on your workplace. Like my workplace, we crack jokes and are friendly and stuff like that, you know. There's still lines, right? You still should, you know, be careful when the big program boss is in the room. But like, you know, when I'm doing day-to-day work, you know, we're cracking jokes. We, you know, use a couple of curse words here and there. It happens, you know. No one's like super uptight. But it really depends where you work. Is it a misconception or it's actual reality that you're required to look like a model at workplace? Frick no! And if someone tells you that that is the requirement for you as a woman, tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine. You are only obligated to dress, you know, as nicely as your male counterparts. So don't think you have to do anything crazy. If you want to go, you know, light on the makeup, that's fine. If you want to go without makeup, that's fine. Okay? You don't feel like you need to put in a ton of prep work into your looks. You're not there to look pretty, you're there to be an engineer. No Scuderia Ferrari shirt? Probably not. I will say skill issue, when I was a test engineer, we worked really hands-on with a lot of heavy machinery, and that meant there was a lot of oil and things like that. So we actively tried to not wear things that were really nice. So if you're in some situation like that where you're working really hands-on with stuff that will get you dirty, you can definitely get away with, you know, wearing more casual stuff. Civil engineers deal with airports, so that, yeah. I don't know if that's the same as working on planes, though, Pinby. Okay. Have you ever come across an intern with a communication disorder like autism? If so, how did that go? I'm a chemical engineering student, and my biggest issue is to overcome communication, as someone who's on the spectrum. Alright, so I'm going to answer this not in terms of an intern, because I actually don't think it matters whether you're an intern or you're a full employee. This is something you're going to have to deal with, you know, throughout your career. And it really should not matter if you're an intern. This is just something that you're going to have to deal with. I will also say, I deal with people who are bad communicators all the time. Okay? I'll say engineers are maybe, you know, just statistically a little bit disproportionate on bad communication. You know, we weren't communication majors per se. So I think it's actually relatively common. I think the biggest thing is that you need to do your best to communicate with your most direct coworkers, right? So that would probably be either the people you report to daily or the people you work with daily. You need to be able to communicate with them. And beyond that, if you have, like, maybe some troubles communicating with higher-ups, then that's not necessarily something that you have to worry about as much, because as long as you can communicate to the team lead, then the team lead should be able to, you know, help you out in passing that further along. But I will say, as someone who's maybe struggling with communication, it is important that you try not to be, I don't know what kind of struggles you're having with communication. You need to try not to get frustrated while attempting to communicate. And you also need to try to be patient with other people when they are maybe frustrated, and ask for patience from them, okay? Everyone is on the same team at the workplace. You're all trying to get the same job done, right? All trying to make the project successful, right? So, you know, just do your best and try to be patient and try to help other people be patient with you. But if people are unhappy with you, just express that, you know, you're doing your best, and if they're having trouble understanding you, then maybe try different approaches with communication. It's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult, but it's not as uncommon as you think. There's plenty of people within the engineering workforce who are not particularly good communicators, including me. That's why I'm fumbling all my words right now. Brystar47. Hi, I have a question. I have a Master of Science in Aeronautics specializing in space operations, but want to go back to university for aerospace engineering, trying to go for the space and defense side. I have also a Bachelor of Applied Science in Supervision and Management. The thing is that I am older, in my late 30s and going to my 40s. Is it possible for me to go back, or am I screwed? I'll just say, first of all, it's never too late. You should pursue your passions. Also, do you know what the best university is? I can go for aerospace engineering. I am trying to look for ones that have strong connection to NASA, because that's where I want to ultimately end up. Okay, so it sounds like you got a goal, and it sounds like you know where you want to be. I'll say go for it. Don't be afraid. It does. Late 30s means it's not even that old. Okay, late 30s is not even that old. I know people who are still in industry at like in early 70s. So you still got plenty of career left. Not that you necessarily want to be working that long, but you still have plenty of time left. In terms of when you would be working, that's plenty of time to, work your way up through NASA to be wherever you want to be. You should just go for it. It's never too late. In terms of best university you can go to for aerospace engineering, I have no freaking idea. I have no freaking idea. But I am sure anywhere that offers direct aerospace engineering is probably fine. If that's what you really want. If they offer a, straight up degree in aerospace engineering, they're probably pretty good. Because I know most colleges, or not necessarily most colleges, lots of colleges don't offer one specifically tailored to aerospace engineering. But yeah, good luck in finding your way to NASA. That sounds cool. That sounds super cool. I hope you end up working on what you want to. Oh, these people are also saying you don't need another degree. That's also true, by the way. You do not need a dedicated degree in whatever you want to work on. Like I said, got my degree in mechanical stuff. If I wanted a position as an electrical engineer in defense, I'm sure I could get it. It's just about, showing that I relatively know my stuff well enough, and I'm willing to learn and willing to work hard. You don't need to go back for another full degree. But you do need to sort of know the stuff. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I have no idea how voltage and current work. I want to be an electrical engineer now. Okay, Adora marked pirate 420. How's your Tuesday going? This Ask Me Anything was on Tuesday. My Tuesday, if I remember right, was pretty chill. Pretty chill. Tuesday, I was figuring out my freaking flight schedule for the work travel that I'm going on tomorrow, which is Saturday, which is pretty late notice, but it was sort of cool to be like, oh yeah, I'm not going into normal work next week. I'm going on work travel. I'm gonna see another state. I'm gonna be, partying it up on per diem. OP was making fajitas. Delicious. Funny story, your parents literally have engineering degrees in electrical and materials. Both work in IT now. Yeah, I think IT, interestingly enough, is not... I don't think you even need an engineering degree to work in IT. But like I said, really, if you want to work in engineering, especially that guy was talking about defense, if you want to work in defense, you just need STEM. Like, you could have a math degree, and they would still find work for you. I don't know why I thought math was like the most removed. Maybe the most removed is biology. Biology, they would still find work, if you have a STEM degree, you have the skill set that they need, which is the learning. The ability to learn scientific concepts. IT is doing very well for now, but maybe the market will be saturated, since the barrier to entry is literally the floor at this point. First of all, I don't think the barrier to entry is the floor. I think the value of people working in IT is driven by the fact that a lot of people don't want to work in IT. That's like a supply and demand thing, as far as I'm understanding. It's also not like IT, I think, is a lot about certifications and certificates, as opposed to like straight up degrees. And I don't think they're actually necessarily that straightforward or easy to have. I think a lot of them can actually be a little difficult to acquire. But what do I know? I don't have them. That's just my outsider view of them. Unerbane says, "Hi, I'm at a point of choosing leadership or becoming a subject matter expert." Ooh! Senior in your career. I kind of prefer the SMEs, but pay scales are severely limited. Meanwhile, leadership, I'm looking at a 30% raise. I understand leaving the company is all too common, but I have things anchoring me to them. Do you think leadership is overrated? Should I give it a try? Okay. It really depends on what you want. I think if you're at that point where you're able to take a position in one of these paths, you've probably gotten at least a little bit of a taste for what it means to be in leadership. So you have to judge it for yourself. I personally, like being at a point where I can make sort of decisions. So in that sense, leadership can be very good for me. I understand also that a lot of people don't like that. They don't like being on the hook. They don't like having their name on things, right? They don't want to be the go-to contact. So if you don't like that, then don't do it, right? I think in terms of pay, yes, leadership tends to, make a buck more. But I also think subject matter experts are very valuable. So if you feel like you do have a level of subject matter expertise, you should try to make that money from that, because especially nowadays what it seems like there's some gaps in age between senior engineers and young engineers who are maybe like relatively new out of college. It seems like a lot of the places I'm seeing have these big gaps between either people who are like about to retire or like relatively fresh out of college. And that leads to this big problem of when these people retire, you're gonna lose a ton of tribal knowledge. So those companies are going to find shitty situations if they lose that tribal knowledge and no one has soaked it up. So you as a subject matter expert, if you've got like that level of understanding and you have understanding that not many people have, are super valuable to the company. You are very important to them, because if they cannot get you to transfer that knowledge to younger people before you leave, they're gonna be super SOL. So I think if you really don't want to be in leadership, just go for the subject matter expert route, and you'll be able to find your way to some nice money as long as you work for it. Also, does depend on your company. But if you really are an expert, I think people won't want to make you unhappy. JS974 asks, do you have any advice or guidance for someone early on in their engineering schooling? If you could go back to freshman year of college, what would you do differently? What would you not change? I would socialize more. Go out to more parties, enjoy my college career. No, but in terms of schooling and education, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was not that studious when I was in college. And I really wish I had worked just a little bit harder. Not necessarily because I feel like I could have learned a ton better, but I feel like, as shitty as it sounds, it mattered to me when, those little bits of effort culminated in my GPA being a little bit lower, or me not having certain awards when I graduated. I really honestly regret that. I think a lot of engineering students are different than me, and a lot of them are working very hard compared to me being like a little bit of a slacker when I was in undergrad. So it could be very different for you. In terms of things that, you know, might make it easier for you if you're early on in your engineering schooling, like I said before, it is very helpful, very, very helpful to watch videos. Watching videos is so, usually, I'm not gonna lie, usually videos are better at teaching things than my professors were. So if you're having trouble or you're struggling learning a concept, hit up YouTube. There are so many good teachers on YouTube. They break everything down. They have cute little diagrams. They make the math make sense.
Gonna head out for dinner now. Probably be back after.
Have a good dinner, skill issue. Have a good dinner. What would I not change in terms of early times in college? There's a lot I wouldn't change. I had a blast learning a lot of the things I did, and I was very interested in, especially in a lot of the fundamentals classes that I was learning about in college. You know, I talk about statics as like one of the first classes you learn as a mechanical engineer. Statics was like one of the most interesting classes to me ever because it's so simple and basic, but at the same time, if you haven't really thought about it, you don't understand how it's really literally everywhere. And as soon as you get exposed to that, you're like, oh, I see how this is literally I can apply this to every single thing ever. So, yeah. OP says, be less afraid of looking dumb. Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't necessarily a problem for me, but if you're one of those people who has problems asking questions because that's what you're worried about, don't. Just ask them, because I guarantee you're not the only one with a question. Gerson 4979 says, I also studied engineering management, but only have my bachelor's. Unfortunately, I still don't have a clear scope of where I fit in the industry. Do you believe your PMP or master's has helped you most in the job market? Thanks for your time. PMP? Hold on. Oh shit, I'm about to lose my spot. What is a PMP? Is that the program management degree? Or... One way or the other, that question is not super applicable to me because I do not do engineering management. So I guess we'll just skip that question. Do you actually engineer at work? Asks Newton's second law. Yes, absolutely. It's weird because I, as a systems engineer, could actually possibly not engineer at work. One of my friends jokes about systems engineers as like, there's two types of systems engineers. One systems engineer can build an entire system architecture up from the ground level, and the other systems engineer just runs around doing fetch quests. Which is sort of true, right? But there's definitely... It's one of those things where if you want to do like actual engineering and calculations and analysis and design work, you can do it. You can for sure do it. If you maybe aren't interested in working on all the same sort of stuff that school was teaching, you can probably also do it. That leans more towards sort of management style stuff, but there's still engineering involved in things like supply chain, right? In terms of what's called obsolescence, that's like parts going out of date and finding replacements there. There's still engineers who work stuff like that, and that's not really, you know, there's not like a ton of calculations or crazy math in stuff like that. So you can definitely find work as an engineer that is not, you know, what you traditionally think of as engineering. But I like the actual engineering. I love the science. I love the physics. So every time there are things that pop up that involve the actual math and analysis and engineering, I hop on them because that's super interesting to me. And if you like that stuff, you will have no problem finding it. Although they might have been asking that mainly because OP was a engineering management degree, but systems engineering, like I said, is a little tiny bit managerial too with the fetch quests. Okay. Frosting West 5287 says, I'm currently a third-year electrical engineering student doing a co-op. How do I get my supervisor to hire me here after I graduate? What qualities should I try to grow in myself? What's a supervisor looking for really? Okay, this is like a really cool one. Because the biggest thing, as silly as it sounds, that I think a supervisor is probably looking for is they're probably looking for you to fit well in the team in terms of like where whatever you do for them, right? When people need stuff from you, you are able to do it in a way that causes minimal complications for the people who work there. And that sounds like a little bit weird, but especially as an intern, if you just sort of give people what they want and you don't get in the way, that already is a great sign. Because you'd be surprised how often it is that you end up with engineers who actually cause complications or cause delays. If you're not creating problems, that's already great. And if you mesh well with the team and, everyone has good relations with you, that's even better. The best thing about that is that they know immediately if you were to be hired, they already know you're gonna fit. Whereas everyone that they're hiring who hasn't interned with them is a gamble. It's a gamble on whether they'll fit, because they could have the best, coolest, most amazing resume in the world, but they could be a complete ass. So be very focused on things like that, on just how you interact with your coworkers, on how you make sure you don't, make things harder than they need to be, you don't put things behind, and do your best to deliver quality work. If you come and you bring enthusiasm and you bring happiness to the workplace, and you do your best to get work done, and hopefully you're effective at it, you're gonna have a pretty good shot at getting hired, if you want it. So yeah, do your best, be friendly, make good connections. The networking is really helpful. OP says position and budget. That's sort of not anywhere in your control, so that sort of sucks that you have to deal with it, but it is what it is. Are you good at not just learning, but are you good to be around? Yeah, exactly. So they also talk about how you work with others and, the sort of atmosphere you put out. And they talk about risk. Like I said, anyone that they haven't worked with is a gamble. So them seeing you and knowing you're not a gamble, knowing that you do fit in the workplace and work well with others, is like the biggest attribute that you can sell yourself with. Alright. It's Vergen asks, I'm currently on 2-year graduate program, joined 3 months ago after graduating from electrical power engineering. Got a job in consultancy company doing mainly electrical designs for water sector, but it's boring. Trying to get moved to actual power engineering within company. What would be your advice on path forwards? So this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse because I don't work in this industry and I don't necessarily know the nuances of what you're working on, but I'll say you really have to be your biggest advocate. And if you have somewhere that you want to be, your best chances of getting there are making it known and talking to your direct leads, your managers, your supervisors, and saying, hey, this is where I want to be. How do we get there? Right? Can we put together a game plan of, this is where I want to be in, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Like, if it takes multiple steps, which steps are the best ways to go about it, right? Where do I need to aim right now to properly position myself to change roles? Sometimes that sucks because they might say, oh yeah, that will be like 7-8 years out. You're gonna have to work your way across a couple of stepping stones to get there. It might suck, but at least if you have that conversation, then you know a path forward, right? You know where you need to be looking. And you also know, like, if they tell you, oh, it's gonna be like a couple years out, you know that information, so you can start judging if maybe you want to find a different job, right? Maybe you want to work at a different company, because that positions you better to be where you want to be. So be open and be transparent and talk with your manager about what you want and where your goals are, and try to come up with a game plan with them. Yeah. If your manager is not very helpful, because sometimes managers are not very helpful, then you can always try maybe, a level above them. And if not, if no one above you is helping you get where you need to go in terms of moving positions, I would just start applying to other jobs. Addy342 says, I have a degree in environmental engineering and have been in the consulting/design industry for over 7 years, so maybe I can provide some useful input. While my degree was in environmental, I ended up doing more geotechnical and water resource engineering. Fancy stuff. Which are typically civil areas of practice. I now have my professional designation, professional engineer, PE, just like me, another PE, that's to you, and have not had any issues with the scope of my degree. If anything, environmental provides more coursework in soil mechanics and hydrology/hydraulics if you pick the right electives. I know other environmentals that are also essentially civil engineers. The only thing I could see in the civil field that then an environmental would struggle with is structural engineering. So if you're not interested in that, I would stay the course. I think this person was replying to one of the questions above. Your mom worked geotechnical, Ash? That's real. Like, what does that involve? I don't even know what that involves, geotechnical stuff. It sounds pretty interesting, but I couldn't imagine myself doing it. I want to work with machines. Although I think it'd be cool to, like, the geotechnical people who probably, like, deal with volcanoes and stuff like that probably have a blast. Or landslides. That's probably also pretty interesting. But I'm sure there's also less interesting stuff there. Less interesting to me, at least. Under Pressure VS asks, what stuff from undergrad do you actually use the most? Oh boy. I'm starting a master's in mechanical engineering, and I'm highly specialized on basically designing things most people interact with directly. Wearables, interfaces, assistive robotics, control systems. Whoa, control systems. That makes me think of something different. But anyway, also finite element analysis, simulations, and other advanced aspects of computerized engineering design. My bachelor's degree is actually in cognitive psychology, and I only needed to do the math and physics groundwork to apply for my master's. I've realized I can technically focus entirely on dynamics and robotics and finish my ME without ever taking thermo, heat transfer, vibrations, or even strength of materials. But somehow this feels irresponsible, and I don't want to be completely unemployable and too hyper-specialized. Okay, there's so much to unpack with here. In terms of what actually gets used from undergrad, that really depends on the day. That's all I have to say. There have been days where I've used thermo. I'll say the days where I use thermo are rare. The days where I use statics are way less rare. The days where I use circuits are very common, right? I think the very fundamentals of just physics usually will cover you 90% of the way there. And the days where I needed other stuff, where I needed thermo, where I needed controls, which I apparently have, those days, I'll say, even when I needed to understand those subjects, that they weren't fresh with me. Those subjects are not fresh when I have to work them. I have to look things up. So it really is not that big a deal. I think if you are maybe not super familiar with a lot of this stuff, a lot of the more in-depth things of undergraduate degrees, it really mainly is knowing the fundamentals. Because the fundamentals, you can build everything else out of. In terms of being too specialized because you don't have some of the things that other people have, I don't think anyone cares. Unless you're specifically like you talk about not having finished vibration. If you're working a job specifically about vibrations, then they maybe care, right? But if that's not like what you're specifically working on, it's just another thing on your list of resume topics that they probably just glance over, right? Strength of materials, I think, is relatively fundamental, because you say specifically that you don't have that, but even that is stuff that I think if you don't have formal education on is not a big deal, because you just hit up YouTube, right? A lot of this stuff is not like we don't come out of school and start a job and it's freaking implanted in our minds perfectly forever. Most people, when they use this stuff, have not seen it in years, unless that is like their day-to-day work, right? So it takes refreshing even for us. So if you are like even a little bit further behind, it's not a big deal. We're all gonna hit up those YouTube videos. Just do what you want to do. If you find one day that you need one of these topics, learn it then and there. You don't need the degree to have these understandings, and it also doesn't necessarily take too long to study and figure out what you need when you're in the actual work environment. Because when you're in the work environment, you don't have to cover every single topic that the class has covered. You only need to cover the stuff that's very specifically applicable. So don't worry about it too much. When things pop up in the workplace, you'll be ready to learn them, I'm sure. Ash's bachelor's in psychology and comp sci. That is a wicked double major, by the way. Those are very different things. There's probably not that much overlap, so I'd assume you need a lot of courses to cover both of those majors. Affectionate Wave 19 asks, how many times did you fail? A lot. But it doesn't, like, there's so many ways to quantify this, because how many assignments did I fail? A lot. How many tests did I fail? A lot. And it depends how you judge tests, right? Like, if I got a 48% on a test, but the average for the class was 46 or 50, that's not really a fail, is it? Maybe it is, I don't know. But even in terms of, like, failing class, I almost failed completely out of college my junior year. It happens. Things happen. Life is hard. Engineering is hard. And you're gonna deal with it. But failure is part of life, so don't let it get you down. If you enjoy engineering, don't be afraid because you failed. Don't be intimidated because you fail. Hit it again. Get back on the horse and you'll figure it out. Don't be afraid to fail, because failure is a great way to learn. And there's no better time to fail in school, because, if you fail in school, it's just like whatever. If you fail and you're building a plane, that might be not good. Your martial arts master always likes to say the fastest way to learn nothing is to try and learn everything. I feel that applies here. Hmm. That's interesting.
If you fail at building a plane, Boeing will hiring you.
Um, no comment. I I don't think trying to learn everything is necessarily wrong. It's just cause when I think of trying to learn everything, I think it's a lot of it is like that sort of mindset. I think is what I think of as just like general curiosity, and I think that's good to have, to just sort of be interested in everything, right? What will really help with learning is knowing when you need to dial in, though. Right? It's not just like, oh yeah, I'm trying to, simultaneously read 45 different Wikipedia pages on different topics all at once. No. No, that's not what you want to do. You want to see a problem, recognize what parts of the problem you don't understand, or you need more background knowledge on, and then dial in, right? That's how work in the real world is, right? You will run into something that you don't understand. Your job is to
from my consumption of food.
find the information that you're missing. Welcome back, Skill Issue. I hope you had a good food break. I hope you consumed a lot. I hope you're well nourished and you're full of calories. And you will be able to provide for my sustenance for a long time when I eat you. What, huh? Anyway. Hunter 920. Following the Pareto principle, what is the top 20% you did in your engineering classes that you use 80% of the time in your career? Conversely, what are the bottom 20% of concepts / things you were taught but never used? Okay, so this is like this whole 80-20 idea that I've heard around. In terms of the 20% that I use 80% of the time in my career, it is 1000% the most important thing of like my education was learning how to draw diagrams. And that is super broad, but I will tell you right now, out of all the tools in all the engineering arsenals and toolkits, the most important tool for me is the whiteboard. The whiteboard is how I can convey ideas to others and how I can get them to convey ideas to me in a way that will be clear, right? Words are not always clear. Words are very difficult, especially with engineers, and engineers are really bad at communicating. But drawing pictures makes things incredibly more easy to understand, right? Drawing diagrams, drawing schematics, right? These visual aids, super helpful, right? They are your key to not only communicating with other engineers, but also, very crucially, key to communicating with people who are not technical, right? Your project manager, right? Your finance people, right? Quality, they may not have the engineering background knowledge that you have. So your best way to communicate with them will be usually through drawing diagrams. That is a very easy way to make a connection with people, because it's really easy for them to visualize, especially when you're talking about problems, right? If you're building something and, parts are broken or they don't fit, drawing it out is very helpful. That is 100% my top 20% most useful thing from engineering classes. Conversely, bottom 20% of concepts and things that were taught but never used. Ooh, okay. I think some of the craziest, most nitty-gritty level physics are not necessarily useful, chat. And that, of course, really depends on what you work on. But things like, for me, a lot of the material science that I've learned in terms of, basic crystalline structure, frick no. I don't use it at all. Black body radiation, don't use it at all. Means nothing to me. there are people who use that though. There's for sure people who use black body radiation, but a lot of the like really nitty gritty equations, nah, I'm not touching it. I primarily deal in, you know, fundamentals, big picture ideas, you know, stuff like that. And if there's anything that gets really into the weeds, usually I'm using, like I said, a diagram to show it, as opposed to like crazy equations or anything fancy like that. OP, I think, has something similar in their responses, where they say their top are public speaking, technical writing, forecast. These things that you get used for, these skills that get used for communication are super helpful. And I cannot emphasize that enough. Anything that will help you communicate with others will be the most valuable, because that will enable you to get help and to help others. And thank you for throwing things at me, Ash. And the meal will be later. Thanks for the head pats too. Oh, they talk about raw calculus. I'll say raw calculus is not that used, but it's definitely not the least used. I've definitely used calculus in my in my work, but that's not everyone. Robin the Champ says, I'm 34 in my first year of engineering school after being out of school for over 10 years. What can I do to be better at this math? Whew! What a question. Really frustrating to overcomplicate things in your head and make it harder. I feel so much slower compared to younger students. Alright. This is way too real. Earlier in the stream today, I talked about how it's the first week of classes for my grad school class, and they just busted out crazy linear algebra that I am like years rusty on. I am sure at the age of 34, math is very difficult for you to just pick up if you haven't been using those skills in a while. I also think that at the age of 34, it's hard to learn new things, and I feel that even now at my ripe age of definitely not 27, definitely 22, wink wink, but it's, as you get older, learning things gets harder, for sure. And it is freaking tough. What I, again, will recommend is that drawings and diagrams can really alleviate things. Looking at just raw numbers is fucking nasty. Looking at raw numbers is nasty. So, if you can find some way to visualize things, right? In terms of drawing diagrams, that will be way easier for you to pick up. Just intuitively, for you to have a diagram in front of you will be way easier. I was struggling with my linear algebra earlier today, and we were talking about, you know, orthogonal vectors. Looking at number, freaking impossible to like really think about. But my professor started drawing up a diagram, and it made so much more sense when drawn. So if you're having trouble with stuff like that, it's hard to know when diagrams are appropriate, but you can try asking your professor, you can try asking TAs. I also have repeatedly mentioned YouTube videos are the GOAT. YouTube videos are the GOAT for teaching engineering and teaching math, and a lot of them have really nice diagrams. So just having that visual aid will really help you out. I think if you're struggling though, you should try and communicate that to your teachers and see if they have anything that can help. Ask about visual aids, ask about diagrams. But yeah, good luck to you. I'm glad that at 34 you're still getting after it. I think a lot of people get too daunted about going to school when they're older, but you're not, and that's good. You're never too old to learn. Donkey Duke, what type of math do you use, and on what basis is it used? Hoo-wee! Okay. 95% of the time, it's just algebra. It's pretty easy 90% of the time. It's just algebra because we're just doing stuff like adding or dividing or stuff like that. That's usually the math that gets used. That's normally for simple calculations, like mechanically that would be stresses. Electrically, that could be current and voltage flow, or some capacitance or some resistance. Occasionally we pull out the calculus. That does happen. I do use calculus from time to time, especially when you have more intense circuits and you're looking at things like time delay or transients or things like that. That can use the calculus. But I'll say if I need the more intensive maths, I'm usually using a freaking tool. I'm busting out Wolfram Alpha. I'm busting out MATLAB. So don't be too worried about not being super good at math. Because in the professional world, everyone's just gonna use tool. Everyone's gonna use CAD to do their math. Good morning, Lance. Good morning, Lance. We're going over questions from this Ask Reddit. Or not Ask Reddit. This, Ask Me Anything on Reddit, on the engineering student subreddit. We've just been busting through question answers. I'm hoping that some of my responses to these can be put into a video later, because I've been slacking on my video game. And I think responding to questions makes pretty good video content, so. Yeah, my big fear is that a lot of my answers haven't been formatted well for video. Which will be a huge pain in the ass to edit. I should just hire a video editor. Your favorite response was when I said these nuts. You don't have to hear me say it. You can just taste them later. What about your mom glands, huh? Huh? Did you think about that? Okay. Consistent guest at 1799 asked.
My mom.
Yeah. Your mom. Consistent guest 1799 asks, how was schooling, as in how hard were the calculus, physics, and general engineering classes like statics, strengths, etc.? Like how time consuming was it? Should I study engineering if the only thing I care about is money? Okay. Ooh, roller coaster of emotions here. Calculus, physics, and general engineering classes, I'll say, vary greatly. Like there's a huge variance in how difficult they are. And part of that is just on who you are as a person. I'll say my first 2 years of college, I really did not find anything that difficult. My third and fourth years, I found a lot of subjects were like hell. And some people, a lot of my classmates felt maybe like the opposite. Some of my classmates felt everything was easy. Some of them felt everything were hard. It really depends on you. I'll say if you're going into engineering and you haven't really experienced, university level classes, you should expect to spend a good amount of time on it. The stereotypes of like other college students going out and partying while engineering students are at home doing homework is like, that is a very real stereotype. There's very real evidence behind that. It is a huge effort to do, but it's relatively rewarding for people who can get through it and are interested in it. Should you study engineering if the only thing you care about is money? That's a you question, man. If you want just stable income to fuel the lifestyle that you want to live, I'll say engineering jobs are pretty good. I think I remember reading a poll of millionaires in the United States, and the most common profession for millionaires is engineer. Because they make good money. And it's not like crazy fuck you money, but it's stable money, and it is good money. It is enough for you to become a millionaire. So, in that sense, it is, a statistically safe, good option. is that a good reason for you to do it? Yeah, depends, right? If you're not very passionate about anything, then probably go for it. If there is a different topic that you are passionate about, you should just study what you like, right? You should study what makes you happy. Because if later down the road you're like, man, I wish I had put more effort into, whatever, learning business, learning music, learning whatever, like, you don't want to live with those regrets. But if there's nothing you're really passionate about, and you don't really care one way or the other, then, engineering might be a safe bet. Now, I don't know how I feel telling someone to study it if they don't love it, but, everyone has their own goals in life, and this is one potential path to where you might want to be. Hi, Snuggy Cat. How are you? Hope you're having a good Saturday. Blands hates almost every subject in engineering. Rest in peace. Rest in pepperonis. I mean, Okay, so, weird question. As a video gamer, how do you feel about optimization in video games? Like, having the right stats. I feel like that is oddly really interesting, just understanding the math of things behind that. I understand some people don't like that. Some people don't want their video games to be homework, but, like, that's sort of engineering, right? It's just problem solving. It also depends on what country you live in. Some countries you can be a millionaire, and in others you can be forever unemployed. Yeah, rest in peace, India. Rest in peace, India. You see that I'm answering questions regarding an engineer such as... Yep, that's exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm doing this in the hopes that maybe someone will be interested in what I have to say, and maybe I'll have content to make a good video later. Okay. Tiger Bloodstar asks something specifically for the original poster about getting 2 masters. Not really applicable to me, because I'm still in the process of getting my first master's degree. Rest in peace, me. In my case, I did undergrad in computer science and my master's in data science. And I'm gonna skip it because it's not super applicable to me. Oh boy, Airhead7390 asks, what's been your salary over the years? Chat, do I answer this one? Alright. I will answer this one for the sake of information on the job market. I hope that people will not feel strongly emotionally one way or another about my answers. Alright, when I first graduated school, that was late in 2019. So my first job, I was looking for a job into the beginning of 2020 when COVID started. COVID made finding a job very difficult. And, because of that, jobs were like maybe a little bit slim pickings, but also employers maybe felt like there was a little bit of slim pickings in terms of who they could hire, right? Because not many people are necessarily applying. So you just have to keep that as a grain of salt. When I first got out of college and I took my first job, as a systems engineer, my starting salary was $80,000 per year. Okay? And I will keep things rough estimates for you guys. But these rough estimates are close enough that you should have a good feel. I worked there for 2 years, and while I was there, I only got the normal year-to-year promotions. And so I made 4%, 3% raise, 4% raises while I was there. That was also in a medium cost of living area. I started looking for another job after 2 more years, and it was a job in a high cost of living area. That second job that I got, when I got it after 2 years, was at 110 $100,000 per year, so that was a pretty big jump. Again, I do recommend, if you care about money, that you hop jobs between jobs. It is very important. It is very important that you hop jobs and you get competitive rates. Because that's a big jump. But yeah, that part of that was moving to a higher cost of living area. That was a couple years ago now. Since then, I've gotten a couple of normal yearly raises. So right now, my salary is roughly about $120,000 a year. So that's where I sit now. I'll say what I get paid is pretty good. I both am a systems engineer, which is on the higher side of the pay scale, and I am also, I'll be honest, I'm pretty good at my job, so I get paid more than a lot of my peers. So what I get paid is maybe a little bit higher than what others might get paid. But you should shoot for the stars. You should shoot for the stars, because these big companies, these big Fortune 500 companies, they can afford it. Yeah. I should ask for $1 million a year. Unironically, by the time I retire, it wouldn't be surprised if like, just the way inflation is going, I would be 0% surprised if that was like, if I was relatively close to that by the time I retire. 40 years from now, just because inflation. If Elon Musk can pay himself $120 billion, yeah, I mean, let's not talk about the mega millionaire and the mega supers of the world. Have a good night, Penboot. I don't know how long ago that message was, but have a good night. Okay, block of potatoes. I'm in my junior year of undergrad, going to graduate with a molecular biology degree. Ooh, that's STEM but not engineering. Interesting. I tried, but they won't let me change my major. I really want to go into chemical engineering. Do you know anyone who's successfully transitioned into an engineering/master's career without a bachelor's in engineering? Okay. This is really... I think this might be insightful to a lot of people. I think a large majority of engineering jobs, if you have a degree in STEM, especially like a hard STEM, we're not necessarily talking about some of the softer STEMs. If you have a hard STEM degree, which I would say molecular biology is, then you can probably get a lot of the engineering jobs, right? A lot of them take people who have math majors or, you know, things of the sort. You don't necessarily need specialization in engineering. But if you're looking for a position that specifically hones in on a specific field of engineering, if you're looking for a job as a mechanical engineer, you'll be at a little bit of a disadvantage from people who graduated with mechanical engineering. But I don't think having a degree in molecular biology is going to stop you at all. Especially if you're going from biology to chemical, I don't necessarily think that's that big of a leap. So if you want to get a chemical engineering job, just go for it. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. And you also mentioned an engineering master's. Master's 100%. I guarantee you can get into a master's degree without like a strict engineering degree. If you have a STEM degree, you can weasel your way into an engineering master's degree. But good luck with trying to transition out away from molecular biology to chemical engineering, if that's what you want. I'm rooting for you. I'm a mega super of your heart, Ash. I know. And I should be the only mega super of your heart. I should be your one and only Kamiyoshi. This is how you should look at me every day. Okay, Femtina. Wow. We've gone through so many questions. Femtina. ME will be transferring this winter. What are a few must-have skills when applying for related positions? Okay, first of all, I'm assuming ME means mechanical engineer. I don't know if they just capitalized me for some reason, but I'm assuming they meant mechanical engineer. There is so much context missing. Where are you transferring from and where are you transferring to? Do you have your degree? Or are you transferring between positions at a job? When you say, what are a few must-have skills when applying for related positions, that is so incredibly broad. But if we're just going to talk about things in the broadest sense, the most important thing for you to have, I think, to sell yourself to other people is A, the ability to learn, and B, the ability to know how to apply what you have to things that are useful to who you're working with and your employer. And that sounds really that sounds like a gimmick, but hear me out. As a systems engineer, if I'm applying to a job, what I'm really selling myself on is knowing why they're hiring me, right? How I can apply myself. And as a systems engineer, if I'm trying to sell myself, I know what I'm selling myself. I'm selling myself on the ability to predict the future. And that sounds crazy, right? That I sound delusional, but hear me out. The reason people hire systems engineers, which are sort of like this, not necessarily engineer, sort of a little bit management-y, is because a big point of having a systems engineer is for them to zoom out and see things from a different scope. And the goal of that is so that when we're designing something, zoom out, think, down the line, when someone is actually using this in the field, or down the line 10 years from now, when we need to do maintenance on these, or when we need to decommission these, what problems are we going to run into, right? What problems are we going to run into way down the line that no one else is thinking about? And if I can find those now, and I can tell people about those problems now, I can save the company tons and tons of money, because anything down the road in 5 years after the design is finalized, if something pops up that the design had an issue in 5 years, that will cost a fuck ton of money. So my job is to predict the future. That's, like I said, that sounds crazy, but I understand that that's what systems engineers are supposed to do. That is like where we make our value. That is why companies hire systems engineers. It is not necessarily the same for a mechanical engineer, but that is what you need to understand when you're applying to other positions. You need to take that step to think about why they want you. What are you going to do for them? Right? And for me, as a systems engineer, that's like, I sell myself on, some level of foresight, some level of predicting the future. If you can find what they're looking for, where they get value out of the position you're applying to, and you can say, yes, I can do this for you, you will get the job, right? That because if you know what they want and you can say, yeah, I can do that for you, then they want you. It's easy as that. Now, what position are you applying for? I don't know. So I can't tell you what skills are important. But just sort of try and have that perspective. But good luck to you in, finding related positions. Alright. Mustang 97. Have you had to hire mechanical engineers before? What are some things you like to see/hear from newly graduated mechanical engineers? Newly graduated engineers, mechanical or not, versus experienced engineers. I guess to be more specific, are you interested in clubs like racing and robotics from university? Or are you more interested in answering industry questions such as being able to talk about stress, systems, etc.? Should an up-and-coming engineer be hyper-focused in achieving good grades? Or should we be focused on networking for internships? If it's a balance, how can you speak from your balancing experience? Oh man. Okay, so this question is a little bit difficult to answer because there's so much here in terms of all of this stuff sort of matters, right? If I were to be hiring for a position, all of this stuff sort of contributes. I'll say something that did get mentioned before. Is a lot of hiring is about risk and understanding, that some candidates, if you hire them, are they going to be unlikely to work well with the team or unlikely to do the work? So all of these things sort of apply to that in terms of having mastery of topics, like being able to answer industry questions, talk about stress. The reason people ask that is they want to get a good gauge on whether you can do the work, right? That's why they ask technical questions, because there's a risk that they hire you and you are incapable of doing the work, right? So that is sort of important. And if you know which type of job you're trying to apply to, you should do your best to study up and know at least fundamentals of the physics of what will be involved. That won't necessarily be the most important thing. In terms of clubs like racing or robotics, I'll say these are just things that mainly help to A, catch the eye, and B, show that you are actually sort of interested. And show that you are passionate and show that you actually will learn. Because if it seems like you don't have any passion or interest, then the risk is that you won't put in the extra work to be good at your job, or that you will not find your job interesting and you will quit, right? So what that stuff is supposed to... Hold on, I need to make sure my music isn't going to DCMA me. Okay, no. Sorry. Back to answering the question. So having stuff like that to show that you are interested in what you're working on is very, very helpful to catch the eye, and very helpful to let them know that you are serious about the job. And that also alleviates risk. I think more than just being in clubs are easy to write, right? A lot of people can say, oh yeah, I'm in this club, I'm in this club. What will really show that you are interested is personal projects. So personal projects, if you take the extra step to do stuff on your own without being in a club, then they know for sure that this is something that you like to do in your free time. That is amazing. But again, it's not the end all be all. Between grades and networking, I'll say that if you're applying to a job just to out of school, you are applying to a job, grades do matter. And they are probably better than networking. The one time networking is helpful is if you are trying to get a job where you had your internship. And that, of course, is automatic networking. But I don't think there's any sense of like, oh, I have connections when you're going for a job outside of school, right? There's not really stuff like that, right? Don't worry too much about references, because your references don't mean sort of don't mean jack shit out of school. Like I said, the networking is really just if you want a job at, Tesla, and you had an internship at Tesla, then that was like a head start. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's a little bit of everything. Something I said earlier is understand what the person hiring you is looking for. And that's super extra difficult because out of school, the truth is the person who is hiring you, you have no way to really know. They're basically gambling on you one way or the other. Everyone out of school is a gamble, right? Because they don't necessarily haven't proven themselves unless they've like interned at that company. So yeah, just do your best to, make it seem like you are not at risk. Make it seem like you are not a risk to them, right? That you will not quit and that you will not fail to do the things that they need you to do. And yeah, if you show that you're not like a huge risk, you're automatically a step up above literally everyone else. Racing club glands. So I don't know about if there's stuff like that in India, but over here we had a club where what they did was they built like dune bug race. They built like desert buggy race cars, and they did race. and they were like completely manufactured on campus in the machine shop. They literally built and welded those frames together there. So I assume it's something like that. But yeah, there were engineers who actually raced those, which is pretty cool. Well, Glands, I thought you said you hated all engineering. I thought you said you hated all engineering, Glands. Okay. What else? Do. Also, whew, we've been answering questions for like over 2 hours now. I think we're almost at the end, though. Or maybe not. There are so many questions. I thought we were almost at the end earlier because our scroll bar was towards the bottom, but the scroll bar got longer. Okay. Glad you're finally getting an actual engineering degree? Wow. Rude. Rude. Is working as an engineer as soul-crushing as learning to be one? I can't wait to get out of college. I don't agree with this at all. I loved college more than I love work. 100%. Learning is so much more interesting to me. So I can't say that I am on the same wavelength as you, because I loved college. I think a lot of people that I know, though, like work a lot more. Mainly because there's some compartmentalization of, like, you do your work and then you're gone. You, like, put in your 8 hours and then the rest of the day, you can freaking drop it right then and there and forget about it. It's not your responsibility. And I think that's a healthy way to look at it. But in terms of what you're talking about as engineering being soul-crushing, if you think engineering is soul-crushing, maybe it's not for you. And I'm not trying to be rude, but, like, you should try and do things that you enjoy, right? Skill Issues talks about engineering universities, and one of them has an aerospace club, and they launch rockets. I don't think that's necessarily uncommon. I mean, there's a lot of engineering universities do, like, a lot of cool stuff. I know the college I went to, one of the capstone team projects was doing drones, right? And they had this really cool drone capstone project where it was like their school battled other schools with their drones, and what it was is, like, you had a flying drone and you had a on the ground driving drone with, like, a QR code on the top of it. And what it was you had to make your flying drone squirt water on their on the ground driving drone, like planes shooting at cars on the ground. And I think that's phenomenally fun. That's such a cool idea. Maybe I could do a part 2 on this. Yeah, Snuggy Cat, part of this was, you maybe weren't here earlier in the stream. This isn't Ask Me Anything from Tuesday, and what they had said was they would do another one today. But they didn't do another one today. I was hoping they'd have the other one today so that I could look at them both. But since they didn't post one, maybe I'll be the change I want to see in the world, and I'll post one. I'll post one, and then I'll I'll do the Reddit Ask Me Anything. Mad Hungarian asks, how fast does your train go? The joke being that they don't think of engineers as builders, but, you know, the train engineer. BattleBots with drones? BattleBots with drones sounds freaking sick. Freaking sick. Also, whew, guys, I don't know if it's because I've gotten really fired up, or it's because I don't know why, but it's really hot in my room. Hold on, let me drink another water. Alright. Original Mixtresses asks, I just got accepted to a Master's of Engineering Management program, and I'm having some reservations about my qualifications and if I'll end up where I want to be. I spent the last decade plus since undergrad in math/philosophy, in bars, restaurants, and hotels, and in the last 4 years have been involved in managing the openings of 18 hotel restaurant concepts. Wow, okay. My end goal is to be involved in construction project management and oversee hotel construction projects. Specifically, although I would like to have multidisciplinary capabilities. Am I going to get my ass kicked in school and be way behind my peers in terms of experience, qualification, and future potential? That's interesting, because like I said, I don't have, engineering management necessarily in my background. But I think if you want to pursue this, I think you can do it. The other thing I would say is you maybe don't need a Master's of Engineering Management to work construction project management. I don't think you need that. But if you think it's applicable, you could go for it. I don't think you would have too much. I don't think it would be impossible for you to get the degree in terms of skills you'd need. I don't think you'd run into suddenly being like, oh shoot, I, cannot do the course load in this degree. I just don't know if it's necessary to your end goal. Good luck though. Midnight Madness 44 asks, I don't know if you can help me in this, but I am a recent graduate in electrical engineering with specialization in power. I want to shift my field from power to VLSI backend for your master's in the United States. Do you have any idea if changing fields is a bad idea, and how hard the dryness... English is hard. How hard the whatever might be. I don't think there's any problem with you changing fields. Especially if you're talking about education. I don't think you necessarily have trouble getting a new degree, if I'm interpreting properly. If you're not talking about education and you're just talking about getting a new job, I also don't think that will be that hard for you. Especially as a recent graduate, right? As a recent graduate, you really are looked at as like a blank canvas, right? For companies to instill on you the skills they want for their entry-level positions. You are a blank canvas for them to make you into the worker drone that they want. So if you want to work on VLSI, yes, you can just apply to those jobs, and you might have a little bit of competition in that, people who have specialized in that might look more fitting for the jobs than you, but I don't necessarily think that that's an insurmountable obstacle. I think when you get to the interview phase, everyone has a good possibility of selling themselves if they play their cards correctly. And if you get the job, you'll learn all the skills you need. Changing fields will not be tough for you. So go for it if that's what you want to work on. Send it, apply to the jobs, and see how it goes. Skill Issue says, you'd love to see drones using missiles against each other. With fireworks? I mean, that does sound cool. I don't know, I think even just the drones squirting water at the, RC cars is, already pretty cool. But, what do I know? I'm not hip with the kids, as they say. Let's see, how are we for time? It's 11:30. Christ, I've done this for, almost 2.5 hours now. how are we feeling tonight? Take a break from answering questions to hang out with my chat and hope everyone's doing well. Wow, I drink some more water. Part of my plan was to do this for like a little bit and then maybe play some games, but I feel like it's too late to start playing games. If there's only... Normally my weekend streams are supposed to go till like 1 a.m. But that's an hour and a half left and I don't really feel like that's enough time to really like start playing games. Thanks, Glands! How's your script? Yeah. Do. Glands, do you do... Wait, Glands, you do shorts, right? Do you feel like you do better with shorts or full-size video? No worries, Snuggy. I was mainly doing it just sort of as something to do, because I know, like, sometimes when I'm playing games, it's, like, not necessarily engaging with me. I know I'm not a great streamer yet. Working on it, but this keeps me, like, super engaged, right? This is constant conversation. If you have any questions, also feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer whatever you might want to ask. Having gotten the results back from the last battery of tests, you're very happy with what you got. Are you talking about academic tests, skill issue? Did you get A's? Did you get A's? If you didn't get A's, I'm going to make sure you suffer. You don't do shorts, I think. You think you do better full-length video. I thought I saw you did have a short, Glands. I thought the one with you being stuck in a wall was a short. Am I wrong? Was the one you stuck in a wall like an actual video? It seems like shorts are like the meta now, though. I'm just shitty at finding where I would make great shorts. Yeah, but that's the only one. Oh, I see. Okay. Snuggy Cat, nobody is perfect, but everyone can have some skill at something. You're absolutely right. And I even in school, when we were like doing engineering, I really liked what one of my teachers said. Actually, this was way before university, but he was talking about, like, this was like middle school with group projects. He's like, yeah, everyone should contribute, even if you're like not that smart or you're, you know, not a great worker. If everyone's working, you can at least like buy the pizza, right? You can at least provide your home for work to happen. Everyone can contribute whatever, right? So your strength might be different than other people's, and I personally am a big fan of people whose contribution to the team is pizza. I'll tell you that. I'm a big fan of the people who buy pizza. Skill issues. Grading system is different. You use curriculum levels and divide them into 3 sub-levels. But you got 90% on the physics tests. 30 out of 33. Interesting. Extracurricular writing. You see, I think getting graded on writing things is a scam. Grading on writing is a scam because that's so subjective. Yeah, Glands, I think your video did do well. Skill issue doesn't enjoy working on group projects because certain people's strengths seem to be doing fuck all. I mean, okay, I also will say an important part of the grading rubric on every group project should be rating your coworkers. Right? Every group project in school should include a section where you get to say, Oh, I thought all my group mates were great. I thought these group mates were garbage. This person worked really hard and this person did fuck all, right? I think that's important. And if you don't have that, then it's a little bit flawed. And you should still just tell your teacher, you should be like, yeah, this person did fuck all. But you also have to recognize that that's just part of life, and even after school, when you get in the workforce, you'll have lazy fucks like this gal who do jack shit. I just sit there and I point out problems to people and I don't solve any of them. That's a joke, by the way. Before any like later viewers are like, oh, yeah, Belle's a normal systems engineer. Belle doesn't do anything. Well, frick you. Frick you, I'm the best engineer you've ever seen. You believe I'm not late? Okay, just because I'm like literally like 4 months behind on a video does not mean I'm not lazy. I've definitely, just because I haven't even started working on a video that I thought I would have released 4 months ago does not mean I'm lazy, okay? It just means I'm a procrastinator. You guess maybe you didn't do everything you could for that particular project, but 60% effort is better than 0. Correct. Correct. I'll say one of the things that a saying that you hear a lot is everything that's worth doing is worth doing right, and that's true. But I also completely agree with another saying that everything that's worth doing is worth doing half-ass, because doing it half-ass is better than not doing it at all. So if you're struggling to motivate yourself to do some big monumental task, just do a baby step. Just do a baby step. You know, because a little bit is better than nothing. Because I know a lot of people who struggle with mental health, you know, have struggle motivating themselves with these colossal tasks, like me, like not wanting to make a video because I hate editing. But you have to just do the little bit. Start by writing a script. Frick, I should write a script. Number 1 engineering VTuber is Belle. Heck yeah, I think at least at the moment that I know of, I'm the only engineering VTuber. I'm sure there's others, I just don't know them yet. In fact, there's probably some that are more popular than me, because I'm not very popular at all. I'm not very well known at all, rest in peace. Lance, I know I should learn editing, but I also, part of me just wants to give up and hire someone. I hate editing so much! Yeah. But I also feel like it's a waste of money to hire an editor when I'm not even monetized on YouTube yet, right? Because that's paying for something that does not bring me income yet. But also, if I don't ever make YouTube videos, then I'll never get monetized on YouTube. God, it's so hot. I'm sweating. I'm sweaty in my own bedroom. Freak. Sweaty like... Ugh. I'm gonna need a shower after this. You struggled with mental health? Skill issue? That sucks. I'm sorry. I hope you're better now. Your tactic was to just keep going one day at a time and go, right, fuck it, that's a problem for tomorrow a lot? Yeah, I mean, that's really how it has to be, right? Like I said, you should, if things are sort of menacing and they're like too scary and you're like, oh god, I have all this stuff that needs to get done, you know, for my class within the next month. No, just baby steps, baby steps. One little contribution, and your contribution right now is to make it through today. Make it through today. Wait, Glans, what happens if I don't make it within 1 year? Am I fucked if I can't make it within a year of my first video? I'm actually in mega danger then. Glans, can we start working together on projects? Maybe you'll keep me focused. I don't know how you can focus. I can never bring that. I'm always like, oh yeah, I'll work on that this weekend. And then during the weekend, I just play gacha games. Oh, how many bottles of water have I gone through? I have a little pyramid of tiny water bottles now. Frick. Are you monetized, Glans? Ah. If I don't earn 3,000 watch hours under a year, it won't count in my monetization requirements. Rip. Okay, skill issue. I do not have a kettle. I do, of course, have a... Everyone has a tap that's literally just sink, but my tap is, I think they do some, like, weird stuff with the water, like, leaves residue and stuff. I used to have a Brita filter. And my cleaning lady threw the fucking lid out for that pitcher. So now that pitcher has no lid. So yeah, I drink... I feel like I'm getting judged for drinking bottled water. Yes, I know it's a scam. I know it's unhealthy. Blah, 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 blah. it is minorly more convenient for me. And yes, I have probably an excess of microplastics in my body. But if I don't do this, I will actually just end up not drinking enough water. Baby steps, like I said. Skill issue. What the hell is wrong with you? If I want a drink of water, I don't want to fucking have to fill a kettle of water, boil it, wait for it to cool, and put it in the fridge to get cold enough to be cold enough where I want to drink it. That's like a solid hour of time. And how dare you judge me for this? Everyone has their things that they just need. Everyone can only deal with so many things, right? No one can be perfect in dealing with like every aspect of their life. You pick your battles. The battles I pick are mainly career focused. And that's why I make so much fucking money. And that's why I'm so fucking smart. Because all my effort goes to my career and learning and video games. Lance, I think he boils the water to make sure it's drinkable. Okay, skill issue. Now you've really lost me. You think I'm gonna wake up in the morning and be like, oh, let's boil a kettle of water. Fuck no! I wake up in the morning, I get dressed, I brush my teeth, I throw on some light makeup, and I fucking go to work. I'm not gonna fucking... I'm like 3/4 dead in the morning, skill issue. Also, here's the other thing about having pitchers of water. Sometimes when you're thirsty, you drink more than the pitcher, and then you're doomed. Because then you can't have cold water. And I know you're gonna be like, Belle, it's easy. Just buy a second pitcher. It just, I like the cased water. It's easy for me, okay? Okay? Jeesh. What would really be great? You know what would be the best for me? The best for me would be if I had one of those refrigerators that hooked up to the water line, so you could just bring a cup to your refrigerator and you push the little thing and it dispenses the water. That would be the best for me. Dispenses it cold? I can't wait till I can buy one of those. I also, it's weird because when I was a kid, I never really thought that that was like a big deal. Because when I was a kid, I would just drink tap water, and my childhood home, the tap water was like good. It's just where I live now, the tap water is like a little bit, maybe I don't want to drink it, you know? Normal or cold water, first thing in the morning, Lance? Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a zombie in the morning. I normally, like, I'm supposed to be in work at like 8, technically. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm normally I only get into work at like 8:30 normally. But I wake up at like 7:30ish, do normal quick stuff, and by the time I'm getting to work at 8:30, I'm still 3/4 asleep. I'm like zombieing in. I'm like, don't talk to me. I just want to sit in my cubicle and acclimate, and maybe eat breakfast at the cafeteria. Yeah, Snuggy Cat, exactly. What I want is I want cold water ready for me at any moment. So I just keep a case of water in the fridge. And when my case is running low, I buy another. Same, just like with toilet paper, right? No one wants that. Like, imagine if someone told you, like, oh yeah, you should just, every morning, you should bring a roll of toilet paper to each of your bathrooms, and you should not store any toilet paper in them. Just, every morning, you should just remember to bring a roll of like, doesn't that sound awful? That's how I feel like Skill Issue is telling me to deal with the water crisis. It's not a crisis. It's not a crisis. Work is basically coffee for me to wake up. I mean, yes and no. I'm not a coffee drinker. Really what it is I just need to sit there and let my brain like boot up. It's like the power cycle on my computer is like, I go into work and other people have like SSDs where they like rapid boot, and I'm sitting there and I've got like the Windows logo slowly playing in my brain as I'm slowly powering up over the course of the first hour and a half of the day. That's what you get for hiring a degen like me. It's even worse because I think my manager knows about it. I think my manager knows I'm fucking useless for the first 2 hours of the day. PC with floppy disk? Maybe in this case. But I turned your mom's floppy disk into a hard drive. Huh. Skill issue, 5 minutes is not a slow boot. Skill issue, if you go from waking up and getting out of bed to like fully awake in 5 minutes, you're actually insane. You're actually fucking insane if you go from getting out of bed to fully awake in 5 minutes. But you're cheating because you're young. When you're young and you have energy, it's a different ball game. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. I'm a decrepit old lady. Interesting skill issue. I hear my alarm and I go back to sleep. My alarm is like only partially effective. Honestly, if I like need to wait, if there's a meeting, I'll set my alarm, but it's not my alarm that really gets me into the zone. It's my fucking brain is like, meeting, now. Shit's going on. I need to be awake. And it's not that I'm like fully awake. It's just that my brain's like, it's time to stop sleeping. Get out of bed. And then I'll zombie my way over. But I'll still be a freaking zombie. I'll still be slow booting. But I won't go back to sleep. Your body will try and make you sleep in the afternoon. Yeah, Glans, I don't know. I'm fucking weird in that I sleep in the morning and I still take naps. In the afternoon. Frick, I think I have a problem. Energy problem. Not able to stay awake. But I'm awake now. It's weird because at night I think I'm the most awake. At night I'm like, yeah, I should sleep, but why would I sleep when I could play games? Or browse Reddit? Or watch YouTube videos? Nighttime is the best time. Did you guys like me answering the Ask Reddit questions? Was it meaningful at all? Guys, I've actually killed so many water bottles tonight. This is really bad. This is so wasteful. You're most effective between 9 to 11 a.m. and p.m.? Like, everything between 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. you're like weird? You're not affected? You're like... Eh? Honestly, Glenn, that's pretty similar to that's actually pretty similar to me. I think I go to sleep a tiny bit earlier, and I wake up a tiny bit later, and my nap is a little bit longer. So I sleep just completely more than you everywhere, but that, like, the rough positioning of all the sleep is about the same. You're active 18/7 most of the time. Is that 18 hours a day, 7 days a week? Because 18 plus 7 doesn't add up to 24. So it must be 7 days a week. But I think it's weird that you say 7 days a week, as if like there was some option for one day for you to be awake the entire day, or for one day for you to sleep the whole day. I think everyone's 7 days a week, Snuggy. And you wish for less sleep, but your body says you need to. That's a mood. Every day I'm like, huh. Imagine how much better my life would be if I didn't have to sleep. Imagine how much I could get done. I could make all those videos. I could play so many more games. There's one VTuber friend of yours that sleeps so much that sometimes they even join voice call while being half asleep and proceed to sleep more. I've done that before. You know what else I've done, Glad? I've definitely, like, gone to sleep in voice chat before. Like, I'll literally be in a Discord call chatting with people and be like, yeah, you know, bed looks cozy. I think I'll go lie down. But I'll keep my phone on with Discord running. Also, Snuggy Cat, you should be careful with that low sleep, because, low sleep leads to early onset Alzheimer's. No one likes that. No one likes that. But what I say to that is, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I'm trying to scare you? No, I'm not. I'm looking out for your health, Snuggy. Snuggy, you realize if you fucking die, that's like a quarter of my viewership gone. Okay? Not quite a quarter, but up there. Up there. I can't afford to lose any of my viewers. I can afford to lose 0. 0. So, take care of yourself. Exactly, Snuggy. Time is valuable. I believe me, I get it. There's so many things I want to do, and I feel like I just don't have the time. But also remember, you will have even less time if you die too young. Glands? I don't know if that's because of the neurochip, to be honest. If it is because of the neurochip, that's kind of scary. But what I think it was is he was so excited because he had not been able to play it before. He was so excited that his excitement just fueled him. The Neuralink, right? I think that guy was ecstatic to be able to play games. And I would be too. That's so cool. Imagine you've essentially been like frozen in a body that doesn't move for your whole life, and suddenly you have the ability, basically you have telepathy. I'd be super stoked too. Also, speaking of VTuber friends, Glands, it seems like your Discord is growing. Good. I should network more. I need to like do more collabs. I don't think I'm ever going to. I think it's really hard to get discovered on Twitch if you don't like participate in things with other people. There's so much I should do. So much I should do as a VTuber that I'm too bad at managing my time to do. Okay. Um, 11:54. Damn it, Glands, it's literally your Discord. I think I looked the other day and you had like 130 people in there. Am I wrong? Let's see. 120. You know what I could really go for, guys? I could go for ice cream. What do you guys like for ice cream? What's your favorite type of ice cream? I got these like, they're like Reese's peanut butter cup style ice cream bars. Where it's like, I think it's like peanut butter flavored ice cream coated in hard chocolate. Mmm, delicious. Delicious. That's probably some sort of contribution to racial profiling, what I just did. Don't repeat that. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm probably gonna end stream soon, too, to be honest. So, I don't know if you guys were here earlier, but I'm going on work travel again. Frick, so much travel recently. I'm going on work travel again for the first half of this upcoming week, so I won't have a Tuesday stream. Rest in peace. I will be back again to stream again next weekend. I don't know what we're gonna do. It seems like these sort of chatty style streams do pretty well. So I'll have to sort out better ways to hang out with you guys and chat and have fun with this stuff like this. No. Wow. This should be priority over work. Work should be lowest priority because work is awful. We put too much emphasis on work. There's so much more to life than work. Life should be about fun. And I feel like I've been neglecting my job as a streamer. And that's why I'm not growing, so rest in peace me. Thanks, Lance. I'll be in New Jersey. Guys, I will say, I heard that where I'm staying, there's a mall. Like a shopping mall with an indoor ski slope. Indoor ski slope in this shopping mall. That is fucking insane. That is fucking crazy. Chat. So I'm looking forward to just seeing what this mall is like. That's fucking crazy, chat. Who knows that? Who knows? Anyway, I won't be back until probably next Friday. I don't know what we're gonna be doing. If probably there will be at least some games, but I'd like to hang out with you guys more. So if you guys have ideas on things we can do, let me know. If not, have a good night. I hope you had a good time in stream. I'll see you next weekend, and be well. Be well. Get plenty of sleep and don't get early onset Alzheimer's. Alright, I think I'm gonna end the stream now. Thank you for the nuts. Thank you for the nuts. Alright. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See y'all later. Have a good one. Get good grades. Get good sleep. Eat well. Eat your veggies. Do your homework. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Later.